They just don't make them like they used to. Happy Gilmore 2 is the newest Netflix Happy Madison collaboration, and one that I was very optimistic for. I am a massive fan of the first Happy Gilmore. It's one of my favorite comedies of all time.
You will not make this putt, you jackass!
But I was reluctant to be excited for this movie. I hope that it would at least be a decent enough time. I never expected it to live up to the first one, but I hoped at the minimum they would at least put a lot of effort into trying to make this one good. When you're approaching making a sequel that's almost 30 years old, there's got to be a reason for it, there's got to be purpose behind it, and there's got to be actual passion that goes into making the movie to make a product that isn't just forgettable or doing a disservice to the original. Even though if you think about it, the history of legacy sequels is not very bright. In fact, most of them end up falling very short of the original. Sandler with Netflix money is always going to be a mixed bag. In fact, these days it seems like the only time he makes a movie is just so he has an excuse to get all of his friends together, and that's resulted in more of his movies than not being very mediocre. But even knowing this movie wasn't going to be as good as Happy Gilmore, I had my hope, and unfortunately that hope was squashed. This movie shot 20 over par and missed the cut after the first round.
Son of a bitch, Paul, why didn't you just go home? That's your home! Are you too good for your home? Answer me!
And undoubtedly, there are a few moments throughout that actually won me over, tugged at the heartstrings, pulled from the things from the first movie that I really enjoyed to sort of get me back into it. In fact, there's a plot point that happens in the very beginning of the movie that was very unexpected and shocking, and I can see where a lot of people would absolutely hate that decision. This video is going to have spoilers because the movie's been out for a few days and it's on Netflix, so everybody has the opportunity to watch it. He kills his wife within the first 5 minutes of the movie. Julie Bowen, who is a very prominent character in the first one. We come into the sequel expecting to catch up with Happy and his family and everything and see how their marriage has progressed and all of this stuff, and then just like in the first one, when he kills his mom and his dad, he hits his wife in the head with a golf ball. And while I thought it was absolutely ridiculous and sort of a slap in the face to her character, what they did with that moving forward actually did enough for me to win me over. Happy spirals into alcoholism and depression, and the first half of the movie is him putting the clubs down and really just moping over his life decisions and things that have happened to him and not really finding any motivation to move forward. There's a running gag, and really the funniest bit throughout the entire movie, of him practically making a flask out of every inanimate object around his house, hiding alcohol in a cucumber or a cuckoo clock. While the bit definitely got repetitive, it actually wasn't that bad. And in fact, that plot point brought on some more dramatic elements that gave Sandler more of an opportunity to show his range as an actor. I want to remind you guys, Adam Sandler is a great actor. Yeah, he's made the 90s and 2000s comedies that everybody loves to hate, unless you just grew up in that time. But he's also been in movies like Hustle and Uncut Gems, even Click, which is a comedy, but it's got a more serious edge to it, where he's proven time and time again that he has the capability of being a very strong dramatic actor. So for them to be able to mix in more of his dramatic range with the comedic elements that we expect in this movie, it was kind of refreshing, and it added for an interesting dynamic, something for him to overcome as a character. It's also nice to see a lot of the returning cast come back for this movie. You've got Christopher McDonald, who, in my opinion, is in peak form in this movie, like he never left the character. Ben Stiller is also a welcome addition and still has the same bite that he had in the original, even down to it still containing a lot of the same musical cues from the original. But unfortunately, this movie quickly unravels and morphs into something completely detached from what made the first movie work. It quickly becomes this overly referential movie that has no real identity or humor of its own. Every joke, every one-liner is just a callback. And for the most part, when they do try to do something new, it feels forced. It doesn't feel very well thought out. It misses the point of why the jokes work so well in the first place, constantly trying to recapture the magic, that it ends up losing itself in the process. I also consider Happy Gilmore to be one of those timeless comedies, one of those that just doesn't age, that actually gets better as time passes. I watched it when I was very young, probably too young for the movie, and it worked for me then, but as I've gotten older, it's just gotten funnier. But with this movie, when you cast every A, B, and C list celebrity in the mix for a meaningless cameo, it ages the movie rapidly. And in fact, while the movie's only been out for a few days, in a week from now, it's already gonna be outdated. The biggest difference between the Happy Madison production films back in the day compared to now with their partnership with Netflix is, even though the movies have always been stupid, back then, at least it seemed like they had a fun time and there was a purpose behind making the movies that they were making. Now it just seems like they're doing whatever they can to cash a check, have a nice paid for vacation, and build a digital library of content that nobody's ever going to revisit. And I didn't go into this movie expecting to be overly cynical or judgmental, and it's not that I can't have a fun time. I wanted to have a good time with this movie. And like I said, there are moments throughout the movie that actually worked for me, but the majority, the film as a whole, totally unravels and just ends up being something that is completely forgettable, not only staining the legacy of the original, but it's so shallowly executed that it really seemed like they didn't try. And I know that there are some people that are going to enjoy this movie. My mom texted me after she watched it saying that it was stupid, but it was her kind of stupid. I even watched this movie with my very camera shy girlfriend who liked it more than I did. All right, so first off, I showed you the first Happy Gilmore. What did you think about that movie?
It sucked.
That's all you gotta say.
Yeah, it sucked.
I'm a bit disappointed. Okay, so with that being said, what did you think about Happy Gilmore 2?
I liked it better. I mean, it was fine. It was good. It was really good until the Maxi Golf part. And then that was just really bad. But then overall, it was still pretty good.
Won't you watch it again?
Probably.
What was your favorite part of the movie?
When he killed his wife with the golf.
Okay, all right, we need to cut it there. Pardon her with her disrespect for the original. I'm trying to culture her a little bit. It's just a movie that did not work for me. And as I mentioned earlier, I was a big fan of Christopher McDonald in this movie. I thought that he really recaptured the essence of Shooter McGavin extremely well, like he never left the character. But at the same time, they do things with his character here that are very frustrating. Shooter McGavin was always somebody out for Happy Gilmore, jealous of his success, wanting to take everything away from him. And in the first part of this movie, he's exactly where you would expect him to be, this psychomaniac now in a mental institution who breaks out and is wanting to seek his revenge yet again on Happy Gilmore for taking everything from him. And it takes one fight scene between Happy and Shooter in a memorial graveyard where every previous character's name happens to be in a gravestone within the same vicinity of each other. They duke it out for a couple minutes and then suddenly they're on the same team. That just does not make sense. You're just gonna forgive him now and work with him? Y'all are just best friends? At this point in the movie, going to my happy place was thinking about the credits rolling and this movie finally being over. And yeah, it was cool to be able to point to some PGA legends and call out their names and see their appearance in the movie. Eminem was in the movie, which I never thought I would see Eminem in an Adam Sandler movie, but it happened and it was fine. My favorite cameo had to have been John Daly. He's the only one where it seemed like they actually wrote something for him in this movie that made sense for his character and his personality that fit into the story well. But there are so many actors and celebrities and influencers who are just thrown into the movie for the sake of being there. They have no purpose. It was just like a massive vanity project. And there's a subplot in the movie that completely derails the entire thing. Benny Safdie plays the founder of this new organization called Maxi Golf that is trying to revitalize the sport and modernize it for a new generation. And I see what they were doing. In fact, I opened this video saying they don't make them like they used to. And in a way, I think that was sort of the meta commentary that they were going for here. That as new and modernized as you can get, you're never going to replace tradition. But at the same time, the way it was executed had me constantly rolling my eyes. In fact, the thing that makes Happy so special in the sport of golf is that he's different than everybody else. He's got this power and this ability that nobody else possesses to hit the ball super, super far. He's a natural at it, even though before Happy Gilmore, he had never picked up a golf club. But now with this new Maxi Golf organization, they also have this procedure that they do to their players to where they cut this certain ligament in their body so they're able to produce more power with their swings, and suddenly Happy is no better than the rest of them. It just felt like complete disrespect and disservice for not only the original movie, but the character in general. It felt like they were making him an absolute joke, and he can do that on his own.
Happy riding a bull?
Not to mention, this movie is 30 minutes longer than the original. There were multiple times where me and my girlfriend, as we were watching, we kept pausing to see how much time was left. And then we looked down at the time cursor and there's still 50 minutes. An hour into this movie, I was already over it. Legacy sequels are often worse than the original. That's a given. But a lot of times, while they may be bad, there's a good portion of them that at least try to recapture the magic, try to bring something new to the table. But with Happy Gilmore, not only did it not need a legacy sequel, but if you're going to do it, pay respect to the fans that have loved your movie for almost 30 years. And it just didn't seem like they tried at all. And worst of all, it commits the cardinal sin of any comedy, which is it just wasn't very funny. How do you feel about Adam Sandler as a whole, as an actor?
Like Adam Sandler, he's funny.
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 Have you seen Uncut Gems?
Nope.
I know what I'm showing her next. I'm always going to love Adam Sandler. I'm always going to show up for anything that he makes, but he needs to leave the classics alone and stay far, far away. Those are classics for a reason, and the more that you try to reinvent them and sequelize them for a profit on Netflix, the more it just deteriorates their legacy. Maybe y'all will say that I'm overthinking this and looking way too deep into it, that I should have just watched it and turned my brain off completely, but Happy Gilmore is a movie that means something to me. And I hoped that it meant something to Adam Sandler. So I was expecting a little bit more care and appreciation for the original going into this movie, and they just really didn't show that. And for that reason, it pains me to say that this movie was really bad, and I doubt I'll ever revisit it. In fact, I'm gonna have to spend the next couple of weeks trying to erase it from my memory. But guys, make sure to comment down below. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on Happy Gilmore 2. Did you like this movie? Am I hating on it too much? Did you like the original? Also, tell me, what is your favorite Adam Sandler performance? But until next time, I'll see y'all later. Peace out. Take it away.
You.